this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to yet another live edition of What the Hell Are You Smoking here on your wonderful Sunday afternoon. Great day, no Vikings game today. They played Thursday, so we are hopping on here at noon. Yours truly, Seth, here with you, but let's get it right to the man that needs no introduction, Denny.
There you go.
I'll do better with that next week. I completely forgot about it. We'll have it in the system next week. I'm sorry.
Welcome, everybody. And I have to start out by saying thank you to all the well-wishers. Really, so heartfelt. You know, this is what I live for. And age has its, benefits and its deficits. And you know what I'm dealing with. And I got the good fight going, and I'm going to go as long as I can. I'm changing a few things up simply because of my age. You'll notice a lot of times there's a lag when I talk about stuff that I can't think about what I'm saying. So I'm pre-writing everything down simply so I don't have that lag anymore. It's just old age catches up with you, and I used to have a pretty sharp mind, and I don't anymore. To give you an example, when I was talking about Winnipeg, I couldn't think of the goalie, so I just said Winnipeg goalie instead of. I mean, it's ridiculous, but that's just the way it is. I can't remember names like I used to. So for everybody, I have a board in front of me now that I can read off of. So that shouldn't happen as much, I hope. Getting on, the play of the Wild. I've noticed a few things that I want to bring up today. And I'm going to start with John Hynes and his coaching staff. And, I'm as hard on Hynes as anybody, probably harder than most. But I have to give him kudos when kudos are deserved. And he's been coaching up, and I can see it in several different areas of the hockey team and their play. And number one is Middleton. He's still playing within himself, but whatever they have told him and taught him, he's really grasping it because, boy, he's becoming just an all-star. I didn't expect this from him. For the couple of years he's played with us, you knew what you're getting, but not anymore. He has raised his level of play considerably, and I got to give kudos to John Hynes and the staff for doing that because they're the coaches, and that's their job.
Yeah.
And another one is Boldy. Now, you remember last year, Boldy was really wild. A lot of times he couldn't hit the broadside of the barn, if you recall. And the one thing I've noticed in his shot now, last year he was using all hands when he was shooting. And now he's using hip rotation, which gives him the power and the accuracy to shoot. And anybody who's ever played hockey or baseball or softball, you generate your power through rotation of the hips. And if you watch Boldy now, that's what he's doing. And that has to come from Hynes too, I'm assuming. I don't know for sure, but that's what coaches are supposed to do, and that's called coaching up. So I got to give my hats off to Hynes and the crew because they're doing a hell of a job. Another thing is Well, what's the best way to say it? The way they're attacking now is a little bit different, and having Rossi up on the first line with Kaprizov and Zuggs has really opened up Kaprizov. He's such a phenomenal player, and he has the best edge work. Closest would be probably Cale Makar. But his edge work is so good that he can just dance out there. And you see him many times just skate around and circle around the net, and they can't touch him. That's because of his edge work. But what that does now is that opens up for Rossi and Zug to get just phenomenal opens because everybody gravitates to Kaprizov. That's why he has so many assists now. And I expect that they're going to try and change. Teams are going to try and force different things on him because he is so good. You can't stop him. And at the beginning of the season, I told you I expected 120 points, 60 and 60. Well, right now, he's on the pace for 150, which was my original. I don't expect him to keep that up because, people get hurt, injuries, and whatever. But he's definitely in line for 120 points this year. And you heard it here first from me. And I'm pretty proud of that. Gus Bus. Now, I've never been an advocate of trading him at all. Before the season started, I told you he just got married, he had a kid, and he didn't come in the best shape of his life. And obviously he did. Tom Reed from K-Fan said he lost 13 pounds and looked like, was looking really good. Well, it shows in his play. His reflex action is a little bit quicker, but how he controls himself in the net is a lot better. Forget about the Philly game. Every goalie has a game like that. I don't care who you are, whether you're Shesterkin or whoever, it doesn't matter. During the course of the year, you're going to have stinkers like that. I'm not worried about him. He's Gus Bus is back, and it's all aboard for me.
Well, and when we looked at the heat map last night, Denny, I'm just going to put this back up on screen because I have it handy. Look at that heat map on the right side for the Philadelphia Flyers. 3 goals right up and close and bright red in terms of shots on goal. Now, it's not all Gus's fault. It's not all the defense's fault, but my position is going to be pretty firm going forward that both units have to work together, and you can't give up that many shots right out in front of the net and expect that the goalie's going to be able to bail you out all the time. Now, you have one that's further out from the face-off circles, the goal that was given up. Yeah, that's one your goalie probably should make the save on. But, I look at this heat map and I'm like, well, I'm not surprised because all the shots are coming from in close.
Yeah. From what I watched of the game, because I didn't get to watch it all, Boldy again, not Boldy, but Bogo, was losing his player again, which he does all the time. He's played some pretty good games, but he loses himself out in the defense when he has really strong, fast players. And obviously yesterday that was a point. I think he said he was a -3.
Yeah.
Brodin can't cover for that.
Him and Brodin were both -3s, and that's rare to see for Jonas Brodin. I bet you could count on one hand the number of times that he's been a -3 in his career.
Well, my hope would be that they play Hunt. I mean, he's up here. Play him. Bogo has to learn. He has to stay with this man. His job is to clear the front, and he wasn't doing that.
Yeah, no,
for whatever reason.
The Wild did not clear any bit of the front of the net at all. So that it just puts a lot of strain on the goalie. A couple of those goals are rebounds that just weren't controlled, so I get that, but like you're just asking for trouble when you allow that much attention and that close.
Yep. You know, and you're going to have games like that. You can't expect the Wild to go undefeated. I mean,
no.
We're looking at 20 losses. And it doesn't matter how they happen; they're going to be losses.
Yeah, that's why like I throw that Tom Kelly thing in all the time because I think that was one. I think that's really good. It obviously you've got 162 games in baseball, so it's double. It's roughly double what the NHL schedule has, but I think the same thing applies. There are going to be games that you're just going to win no matter what, just because of all the elements that come together that day. There are going to be games you lose, and no matter what you do, it's just going to be a loss on your schedule. It's what you do with the other games that are up for grabs.
Well, you know, I do a power ranking with the hockey guy every week. And he had him at 20th last week. I had him at 18th. And he put him up 10 spots. So they're now number 10 in his power rankings. And I have mine at number 8. And I give him my ratings before he does his. So we're back on the same page. Yeah. I really like how the Wild are looking. They're a joy to watch. Yeah. Our first two lines are as good as anybody's in the league, hands down. Even though I don't like Johansson, because he never played with this kind of passion last year. You know, because this is a contract year, which the Wild expected him to play like this. I don't have no time for him because he took the year off, and it's because of him directly. His lack of effort in games is why we ended up where we were, because we didn't have two lines. We had one line.
Yeah. Well, and by and large, large portions of the team just were not in it last year. Like the moment something went wrong, and that was I think the most encouraging thing from yesterday's game is you spot the Flyers those 2 goals early. Beyond that, the Wild, up until the third period, pretty handily controlled the game. But that just goes to show you can't start off games like that, because a lot of times that's what ends up costing you a win or a loss.
You know, it's the NHL. I don't care if you're playing Chicago or San Jose. You know, last year they won 23 games, and they were the worst team in the league. So you can never take anybody lightly. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they've brought I don't know which teams it is, but I'm going to look right now. But the San Jose Sharks have taken 2 teams to overtime. You think those 2 teams are like, hey, we got out of town, we got 2 points? No, they're probably thinking, boy, we definitely overlooked the Sharks.
Absolutely.
They took the Dallas Stars to a shootout.
Yeah.
And St. Louis.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, San Jose is building some talent. Of course, they lost their big boy, their number 1 pick. What was his name again?
Robert Tom. Or no. Sorry, San Jose. Macklin Celebrini.
Celebrini, yeah. They lost him to injury, which really hurts them, because when they get him back, he's a hell of a player. I like what I've seen on clips from him so far. Let's see what else we got here. Our power play is 30%, 5th in the league right now. And I only expect that to go up once they get things figured out. One thing I want to point out, I can't believe Brock Faber did that yesterday. At the end of the game, where he just, I don't know what he was thinking. He's trying to make something out of nothing, and I understand that. But he's smart enough to know you don't do that in the NHL. And they gave him the chance. They went down. They got the winning goal. And that's on Brock Faber, because he should have never tried doing what he's trying to do. I don't know what it was, but he's trying to make something out of nothing. And when there's nothing there, you just hold the puck, pass it off, send it down, whatever. But you don't just give an opportunity to your opposition to go down on, which is what he did.
Sometimes the best play that you make is the one that you don't.
Yep, exactly. Then on our PK, I don't see too much wrong with it, other than the fact that I would like to see Lauko and Murat more on the top, because they got speed. And as you remember last year with the Du brothers, we had 21 chances on the penalty kill, and they scored 8 goals. And this year we have 1 so far. But when you have speed on top on the penalty kill, that forces passes sooner than they want to pass. And you're going to get your opportunities. So, and I know they're playing them together, but they need to play them more, because you don't want slow on top, because then they have too much time and they can set up nice, and they're in charge.
The Minnesota Wild right now are the least penalized team in the entire NHL,
which is surprising as hell.
I am going to give, and this comes down to, this is another John Hynes thing. I didn't think it was possible, because you remember, Denny, I talked all offseason about, if you're going to fix the penalty kill, one of the best ways to do it is just stop taking so many penalties. I didn't think that was going to be something that they could actually pull off.
I still can't believe it, but they're certainly doing it the right way. I mean, Foligno has really improved his game. And, he got a couple goals yesterday, and their line looked really good.
Yeah, yes, they did.
Our fourth line yesterday was absolutely ridiculous, and they took advantage of it too. I don't know what they were doing, but they didn't have their head in the game, that's for sure. But overall, I got to give my hats off to Hynes and the crew, because he's instilled things. And I could get a lot more technical about this, but I'm going to tell you, this is what's in the works. I'm working with a guy. He's a geek, and he's putting together a something like NHL 25, that game that you play in Xbox or whatever, so that I can design a play that I see from the Wild doing, because I really want to talk about what I call the inside pass, but you won't know what the hell I'm talking about unless you see it visually, which I see him doing a lot of, and that has to be from Hynes too. But that's in the works. In fact, we got a lot of things going on behind the scenes. We're going to have a guy from the East Coast doing the Atlantic Division. We're going to have a guy from the West Coast doing the Pacific Division. And we're going to have a podcaster from Canada doing the Canadian teams. And that's all coming up. It's in the works. And What the Hell Are You Smoking is getting popular. Which is a good thing. I mean, I live for this stuff now. It's all I got. When you get my age and you don't have anybody to reminisce about your past with, what else is there? All I have is this. And because of you people, it makes it so fun. I wake up in the morning looking forward to doing this, and hopefully I can get by with what I'm dealing with. As you all know, I'm fighting cancer. And, my legacy will help Seth get to 1 million. And really, that's what this is all about. We can't tell you everything yet, because we can't, but a lot of things in motion.
Yes, indeed.
Any questions?
Yeah, we have a few comments to roll through here. I'm going to
All
start
right.
I'm going to start with this one from Jared, implying that the Wild will turn into an undisciplined mess when Ryan Hartman returns. Ryan Hartman has not committed a penalty yet this year.
Well, as you know, I always thought when Hartman was going crazy, only a woman can make you go crazy like that. Trust me when I tell you that. And now he's married, he's happy. You can see it in his play because sometimes the way he's playing, you could just absolutely see he's going crazy about his girlfriend. And I really think that's true. I can't prove it or nothing, but just past experience, the way he used to play and the way he's playing now, he's a happily married man. What else?
Let's go to we kind of talked about it a little bit, but Amanda would like to know your take on what the team breakdown was for the last game. Like what eroded the most.
Well, first off, you have to look at the shots inside. Where was Bogle and Brodin? Bogle's job is to move the people in front, and he wasn't anywhere near the plays. Like I said, he gets lost out there sometimes, and he's been like that for a long time. You know, Bogle's a big body, and his job is to move the players out front, and he wasn't doing that. And direct result was, you know, when you got, the puck in front of the net 2 feet away, it's pretty hard to stop.
Yeah, those high danger chances, if you allow a team to just run rampant with them, you're asking for a bad time.
Yeah, you have to move the people out. And, Bogle gets he gets lost out there. He doesn't follow his man, and that's just one of his traits in hockey. That's why I like to see Hunt get in there. And I'll tell you what, I thought the best hit of the game was Declan Chisholm. Boy, he sent that kid flying. That was good to see because Declan Chisholm's game is moving up. And when you put hits like that on somebody, he wants to stay.
Yeah.
Because that was a beauty.
Well, and you've got Flyers players trying to separate Joel Eriksson Ek's nose from his face.
Yeah.
That guy got the largest allowable fine by the NHL, a whopping $5,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats. That's gonna hurt.
Oh yeah. Multi-millionaires. As I've talked about before, the referees have no accountability, and that's wrong. And the players have to step up the next contract meeting or whatever, and figure out a way to make the refs accountable for not calling or calling their plays.
Did you see the NFL pool reporter ask the ref after the Vikings-Rams game about that missed face mask?
Oh, that's so bad.
Like, we couldn't see it. Like, dude, you're right there. You're 5 feet away from it.
Yeah,
but they need
I think
something
the
like
NFL's
that.
rigged. The NFL's been rigged for a long time, to be honest, I think. You go back to the Super Bowl of San Francisco when first game started with 3 penalties right away, and where were the penalties? I never saw them. I don't think anybody did, but that's how the game went.
Let's talk about Rossi a little bit here. Dougie, I followed Rossi since before he was drafted, and I maintain he has a higher ceiling than Riley Heidt does. I do hope Heidt proves me wrong, but there's a reason he fell to the second round in the draft. I think the reason he fell was just because of his size or lack thereof.
Well, Rossi has a scoring record for the OHL. He was over 2 points a game. I think it was 122 points, is something close to that, in a little over 50 games. Pretty tough to beat that. Riley Heidt just needs to do what Rossi had to do. He has to get bigger and stronger. There's nothing wrong with his play. I'm very high on Riley Heidt. He's got moves I've never seen before. But like Rossi, when Rossi came up, they could bump him off the puck just like that. Now he's 15 pounds stronger. And as you know, I've been so high on Rossi since we got him. He's finally getting to show what he can do. And with Kaprizov and Zuggs, you remember at the beginning of the year, I said we should offer him an 8-year contract at $5 million, which he would have. I'm pretty sure he would have taken if they offered it to him. We're not going to get him for $5 million anymore.
No, it's going to take.
Because he's going to score 40.
He's gonna probably require more than what Beniers got, the 7x7. Because how is Matty Beniers doing so far this season? Let me look.
Not nearly as well.
Oh,
he's a beep.
He picked it up a little bit. The last time I looked, he had 1 assist. He now has 2 goals and 3 assists and 5 total points in 9 games. So he must have had a monster game. One of these yep. Winnipeg Jets. He had 2 goals and an assist.
Good for him.
You take that game out, he's got 2 assists in 8 games, which is not great.
Well, I can tell you this: I'll take Rossi over him any day.
Yeah,
I love Rossi.
I think a listener asked about this in the offseason. And I, at the time, said I think Beniers is probably the better scorer, but I would much rather have Rossi's all-around game. I think I'd just take Rossi straight up.
I wouldn't a heartbeat.
Yeah,
Rossi's two-way game for 1 year in the league is phenomenal. He's only getting better. And now that he has a couple of players on each side, he's a 40-goal scorer, 40 assists. He's going to make 80 points this year.
Yeah, Dougie says, I'm still holding firm on 65 to 70 points for Rossi this year and 30 goals. We'll see where he ends up. But I want to go to this from Jay. I hate our second power play unit. It just doesn't make sense. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I don't like it either.
I'm just pulling it up. Let me just grab it.
Who'd they have out last time?
Daily Faceoff here. Johansson, Rossi, Goudreau, Chisholm, Ogren.
I like Chisholm. I like Ogren.
Chisholm, Ogren, and Rossi is fine. That's how you'd want that to be. I mean, I think what is missing.
Goudreau doesn't have the hands or the speed to be in the second power play number 1.
Yeah, he's got to be just a placeholder until Ryan Hartman is back.
Yeah, well, Hartman will make a difference.
Yeah, he'd give him a.
And
shooter.
Who else was on the second?
Johansson was the other main one, which the problem is that you just like who's Nadinov. I don't think is there yet, but he would be somebody that I think you could put in for speed. They don't have because they have stacked the top power play, and that I'm not saying I disagree because that's what you should do. That top power play unit is fully stacked, and it should be. But they just have some placeholder guys until others are ready to step in and take those roles. Because a year from now, Danila Yurov will probably be on that second power play. Then I think that unit looks a lot different.
I tell you what I think I would try. I would put Lauko and Murat on the second, add a lot of speed, and see what they can do. Because second ain't working.
No, it's you and I actually like that because you've got to. I feel like for a second power play unit to succeed, you kind of got to have a little different look than the top line.
Yep.
Like you got to have a little bit of a different approach, and I think a speed rush. I think that could work.
I love speed.
I've got a couple people, Jay and Dougie, saying they'd like to see Moose get some opportunities just to be the net front guy.
Now Moose has hands of stone. I don't want Moose on my power play at all. Other than maybe in front of the net, but he just doesn't have the hands. He's good at what he does, but he's not a power play specialist at all. Yeah. And JoJo, yeah,
that's the thing is, it's guys taking spots. I feel like you could. I feel like they're about a year out from having really good options on that unit that they just don't have on the roster right now, or they don't view as ready for those opportunities.
Laco has a hell of a shot. He's got the speed. I would utilize him on the second. I really would. He's got all the potential, and he has shown he knows how to shoot the puck.
Yeah. I like that. Tom checking in. Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, Denny and Seth. Glad to have you along,
hey, Tom.
Glad to have you along for the ride.
Hell yeah.
Let's go to this. If we can somehow shed Freddie and BG doesn't re-sign JoJo, our forward group is going to be great next year. Way overpaid on the bottom, though. Not wrong, but I think that's just the price. I think it's just the price of doing business with a team that, because every player in the NHL knows that what this team's dealing with from limited funds. And so are you going to take a year or two where it's going to be really hard to legitimately contend? Are you going to go there for a couple years? Well, pay me a little more, and then I will.
Well, Freddie's winning the faceoffs now. He's playing a lot better than last year.
What is his? But I think you're right on in that his role this year is pretty defined.
Absolutely, it is. He knows what he's out there to do.
He's a clear-cut bottom six guy. What am I looking for? Oh, yeah, faceoffs.
Faceoff, yeah.
Freddie is third on the team with 40 faceoff wins. He is 40 wins, 34 losses, 54.1%.
There you go.
Joel Eriksson-Ek, by the way, 54.2.
What's Rossi's at?
Rossi is right at 50.
There you go. That's all good stuff. Yeah, Freddie's doing a good job.
Matt Boldy's at 65. Matt Zuccarello's at 66.
Well, Boldy 2 years ago was our best faceoff man on the team 2 years ago. Last year, he wasn't, for whatever reason, he was like, 45%?
Yeah.
But 2 years ago, he was really good. So I don't know what he's doing different. I can't see anything different. But, he's big and he's strong, and he should always be winning the faceoffs. And maybe John has put something in his ear about it, because he's doing just fine.
Well, Darby was in charge of faceoffs forever.
Yeah.
And now he is
a lot of good that did us.
Well, I don't know who took on that responsibility, but it's clear that the results are better this year. The Wild are at over 50% as a whole on the season, which is a spot that they just really have never been.
Well, the one thing the Wild are doing now they haven't done in a long time is they're controlling the third period. And I haven't seen that in the Wild in a couple of years at least. They don't take no for an answer. And their fight, even against Philly, when they got down 2 goals early, they just didn't stop. They just kept going. They really dominated in the second. And what happened in the third, I don't know. Because they let Philly back in it. And that's the play for this year, that's unusual.
Yeah.
But you're going to have games like that.
The Wild so far this season are +3 in goals in the second period. They're +5 in the first period, and are +2 in the second or in the third.
All pluses.
Yeah. We got a couple of other good questions coming in. I'll go to MW Auto. Am I wrong for being extremely disappointed in the game against Philly? I don't think so, because my stance immediately after the game was done was that it was kind of a self-inflicted loss, and it just was one that it felt like a game that was winnable, but start off slow. You give up the 2 goals, and then things get away from you in the third period. So I would say it's not wrong to be disappointed. I've seen a lot of people, especially on Twitter, that have said, all right, season's over, pack it up, we're done. Same old Wild team. Like, I don't know if I'm going to go that far.
You always got to be disappointed with a loss, number one. But we're not going to win every game, period. It just doesn't work that way. And Philly fought. And, they were in the doldrums. Would they lose 5 in a row? Something like that?
Philly, yeah. And I think
they were due.
Torts must have chewed him out or something. I don't know. He just has ways of getting the most out of a team when it doesn't seem like there's anything more to get from them. That's just his specialty.
Well, this is what I think. The hockey gods liked Philly yesterday, and I believe in the hockey gods.
Let's go to PB. Was Gustafsson as bad yesterday as his save percentage looked like? See, again, this is kind of that symbiotic relationship between team defense and goaltending. Because I'll just throw it up for PB again. Look at that heat map on the right side. Look at how close those goals are that were allowed. And look at how many shots came right out in front of the net. Like, defense has to help. But, there were some rebounds that weren't corralled that led to goals. There was that shot out from beyond the faceoff circles. So it wasn't all on Gus, but it certainly,
not at all.
The defense certainly didn't help at all. And those 2 units just have to work together. If a goalie can't get to a rebound, one of the 5 guys that's out on the ice has got to get there first. Like, that's
what's
just how it works.
Gus's save percentage now?
I think it's .922. I think.
Yeah. That's elite.
Yeah. So he's at a 2.17 goals against average, a .922 save percentage. So even with a
bad game,
a clunker.
Yeah.
But I had somebody on Twitter who was saying too that they're off the Gus wagon, and I'm like, it's one bad game.
Are you kidding me?
Like, good Lord, people. It's one bad game.
Don't tell me you're on Judd's bus with trading Gus and Rossi. Come on, people.
It's
This is Lockdown Wild. We don't go for that.
The key thing is just if it becomes a trend. Like, if it becomes, this goes from 1 game to 2, those are the kinds of things you want to try to stop. But I'll throw this in here just to piggyback quickly. It really felt like Gus was not tracking the puck nearly as well as in his previous games. Michael Russo pointed this out too. It just didn't seem from the get-go that Gus was tracking the puck well.
Yeah, he's human.
And it happens. Like, it happens.
Yeah. 922 save percentage with a clunker. He's an elite goalie. Anytime you have over 920 save percentage, I don't think there's 5 goalies in the league that have that kind of numbers.
And you know what? Another thing too that I've never really thought about that I think can explain why this sort of thing happens is, think about if you're an outfielder in baseball. Sometimes you go to a stadium that has a dome. Sometimes it's a little harder to track the ball. You just don't see it. It's just harder to track the ball sometimes. Sometimes it's just harder to track the puck for whatever reason. It just your defense, your team defense has to put you in situations to have clear vision on all of the shots that come in. The one in particular where Bogosian was trying to go for the block and Gus was kind of on one side and he tried to peek over. He got caught out of position there, but if you're Bogosian, like, get in front of that one, my guy. Like, grab that puck.
Well, I heard something too about day games for the Wild. At noon games are not very good.
Yeah,
they're out of rhythm, is what they were saying. I don't know what you can bring from that, but they don't do very good at noon games, period.
Yeah, 6-3-3 last year in games that started before 4 p.m. Central Time. It's an oddity.
Yeah. Who knows? What else we got?
Let's look at this is a good one from Bob. Any team can win any night. Pro sports can be fickle. Get inspired somehow and can walk on water for a game. Philly is fighting out of a corner. The old adage of a caged animal is the most dangerous.
Well said, Bob Hoist.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Well said.
Mikko Koivu was here and did a Wild on 7th show with Ryan and John. Mikko should have been on the ice for practice to do some face-off work.
Mikko's pretty good.
Yeah, he still was. I'm glad I got to that because I wanted to. They made mention in the broadcast about just how far ahead Mikko Koivu is in face-off wins compared to the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
Minnesota Wild. Because they talked about how Joel Eriksson Ek took the most faceoffs in the NHL last year. And I was like, then they said Mikko's got X amount. And I'm like, he's that far ahead? Like, geez Louise.
Yeah, he was really good in the faceoff.
That was his specialty.
Yeah. One thing that I'd like to bring up, Mikko Koivu in the shootouts went from forehand to backhand flip, and even though the goalies know it was coming, they couldn't stop it. And I would suggest to Mr. Hynes and crew that you have everybody in the team work on a shot in the shootouts that the goalie can't stop. I mean, just practice until you got it down, like Mikko Koivu did with his forehand backhand flip. I mean, even though they knew it was coming, they couldn't stop it. That's what the team has to do.
Because Kirill Kaprizov is 0 for a lot.
He's lost.
0 for a lot on shootouts.
Yeah.
Where is that? Because he was, what was he? I'm not going to be able to find it, of course. Why can't they just put everything in one spot? I shouldn't have to go to 6 different websites to try to find one stat. Oh, here we go. Shootouts in 2022-2023, he was 5 of 11. Last year, he was 0 for 6. And this year so far, he's 0 for 1. He's 7 out of 25.
Not good. Not good enough. He's got to be better. Way better. So that's one thing I would suggest to you, Mr. Hynes, if you're listening and watching us. You got to have the players pick something and just practice the hell out of it so you can't stop it because they all look a little us out there. I remember we had Brian Rolston, and he would, on a shootout, he'd come up and just blast a slapper. He was so good with it, goalies couldn't stop it.
The clap bomb.
Puck behind him before they could move. Hey, he was a joy to watch. He was a 30-goal scorer for us for a couple of years.
Yeah, a guy came in for 3 straight seasons and just was like, oh, you guys don't typically get 30-goal scorers? That's okay. I'll take care of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was fun to watch. He had such an accurate shot, too. And it's too bad we don't have any film on because you could see the hip rotation in his shot.
Yeah.
And so many of the kids today, they just use their hands, the quick shot to get it off so quick. But the better you get, the more the game slows down. And Boldy is learning that now. And if you can, when Boldy takes a shot, watch how he shoots now. He's got hip rotation in. It's not all hands now, because when you're using just your hands, you tend to overdo it, and that's why the shots go wild with no accuracy, because it's all hands. And the correct way to do it is with hip rotation to generate the power and the speed and the accuracy. And that never changes. That's just the way it works.
It's like a golf swing. Why do you think so many hockey players play golf in the off season? Because it helps them with the hip rotation.
I don't know. I don't play golf. I couldn't tell you.
I can from my limited golf experience. But.
Well, when I was in St. Cloud, I was in a softball team that in 3 years we went 46-3, and I don't know what the name of the league was. Classic League, I think they called it. And I was a hell of a hitter. I was a hell of an athlete growing up. I was the fastest kid in Hopkins School District for 4 years straight. And when I went in the Army, I was the fastest kid on the base, and I ran barefoot. I grew up on the farm. I didn't have shoes. I just ran barefoot, and they couldn't believe it. But that's all true. True story.
Let's see. What else do we have here? The Pierre-Marc Bouchard spinorama worked well a lot, too. Unique but effective.
Oh, yeah. Everybody needs to, and I hope, Mr. Hynes, that you really are listening. You need to have everybody pick something and just practice it so the goalie can't stop it. Because that's going to win you a lot more games in the shootout. Yeah. That's my 2 cents.
And I feel like, too, with the shootout, it's tough because you kind of trick yourself mentally into thinking I need to make the goalie make a mistake instead of making a play yourself. You're thinking in your head, I need to make the goalie make a mistake, as opposed to just going and making a play yourself.
Well, the best I've ever seen in shootouts is a Minnesota kid named TJ Oshie. And he scored 7 or 8 goals in a shootout. They couldn't stop him. And he kept doing the same thing over and over and over, and they could not stop him. And I hope they can find some film on him to look at what he was doing, because he did the same thing every time, but the goalie couldn't stop him. And that's what you got to do, because Oshie, Jesus, he was just a superstar in the shootout.
Yeah, in his 16-year career, he is 50 out of 105 in the shootout. 47.6%.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I think it was the Olympics where he went 7 or 8 times in a row he scored a goal. I'm trying to think. I'll have to look that up, because I remember they just couldn't stop him.
Yeah. And I think, too, we're getting a lot of comments now about 3-on-3 overtime into the shootout. My stance is still get rid of the shootout, and 3-on-3 OT would be better, because that's basically all teams use 3-on-3 overtime for, is to just rest up for the shootout. Because they're like, well, if we're not going to get this settled in regulation, let's just go to the shootout. And if there was no shootout,
I would much rather have the 3-on-3 than the shootout, number one. Why they don't just play until you score is beyond me, because you got all the open ice. your best players can show off what they have the best. And, it should be really highlighted.
Yeah.
But they kind of look down on it, really.
3-on-3.
I don't understand
and
that.
If you exit the offensive zone to regroup, penalty.
Yeah.
Because you see that so much where it's like, well, we don't want to turn over the puck, and so we're just going to back off, skate around for a bit, reload, maybe attack. There was one, I think it was the game against Seattle. No, it couldn't have been the game against Seattle because the Wild actually had, I think it was Kaprizov, Boldy, and Rossi all had looks in OT. It might have been a game last year where there was like one scoring chance in the entirety of 3-on-3 OT because both teams were just like, let's just not turn the puck over.
Yeah. Hey, Seth, fans, I have to stop right now. I gotta lay down. I've gone as far as I can go. I'm sorry I couldn't finish the show.
It's all right.
But I gotta take my medication and lay down.
Yeah, that's totally
Goodbye,
fine.
everybody. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks
Bye,
everybody
Seth.
for tuning in. We will we'll see you on the next one. And we'll have a couple of episodes for you tomorrow. We'll do the 3 things recap for yesterday's game against the Flyers. We'll also have Alex on the show as well. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we'll be with you for the next episode of Locked On Wild.